Northern Norway in winter. Thanks to the Gulf Stream, this is the only region in the world at this latitude where the sea is ice-free and navigable. This enables one of the legendary Hurtigruten ferry ships to depart every day of the year from Bergen on a 3,000-mile-plus return journey to KIrkenes, providing a lifeline linking coastal towns and villages, as it calls at 32 ports en route in each direction. It carries the post, it transports vehicles, it loads and unloads freight. But most of its income probably comes from tourists like these, checking in at Tromso at the end of February to complete the 3-day return voyage around the top of Europe to Kirkenes. Nord-Norge is the name of the ship, built in 1997 and exuding considerable elegance. There's even a library with games tables. The ensuite cabins are quite compact and functional. They're not intended for much more than sleeping in. People relax all around the ship, particularly along the arcade or in the panoramic lounge, reading or just admiring the scenery outside. The more adventurous go out on deck. Yes, it can be icily cold. Yes, it can be very windy, but when the sun is shining, the views are very impressive. One notable nighttime port of call is Vardø, Norway's most easterly town, with an average annual temperature of -10 degrees Celsius. -10, the average. Equally memorable is the approach to Hammerfest, past Melkøya, the world's most northerly liquid natural gas plant, shipping its products to Japan and China via the Arctic route. The town itself claims to be the most northerly town in the world, with a population of around 10,000. It has long been an important port for fishermen and Arctic hunters, very cold and bleak in the shadows, but more attractive in the sunshine. Its church dates from 1961. Its predecessor, like every other building in the town, was razed to the ground by the Germans in 1944. Only this chapel, today protected by snow fences, survived the war. Just as unforgettable is Kirkenes, the northern terminus of the ferry route, yet it's as far east as Cairo.
Mine damer og herrer, vi ankommer om noen få minutter i Kirkenes. Dette også Hurtigrutas vendebom, og vi benytter derfor anledningen til å takke alle som passasjerer på turen. Takk alle noen spesielt, håper dere har hatt en fin tur, og vi håper å kunne ønske dere velkommen ombord igjen.
It's just 10 miles from the Russian frontier. The border crossing today is an informal affair, with anyone living within 20 kilometres on either side of it allowed free access to both countries without paperwork. The Norwegians benefit from this. Goods in Russia are much cheaper than in Norway. KIrkenes is a surprisingly modern and seemingly affluent town, having made a remarkable recovery from the ravages of World War II, when it was heavily bombarded by the Russians and occupied by the Germans, who burnt most of it when they retreated. Its importance to them both was its iron ore industry, now thriving again in Australian ownership. The ship stays in KIrkenes for 3 hours and then embarks on its return journey. The larger towns like KIrkenes have longer stops. At smaller villages like Hurtigruten, with a population of around 1,000, it ties up for just 15 minutes, hardly time to get off to stretch the legs. The major inland excursions are available where the stops are longest. At Tromso, there's dog sledding.
We went right through the last one.
Once on the move, the excited huskies let loose, literally. The 2 rear huskies are strong male dogs. They take most of the strain. The 2 at the front are female, fleet of foot, and the rest of the team are the noisy motivators. Back on the ship, as dusk approaches, the ever-changing colours of the sky suggest a possible sighting of the Northern Lights. Passengers in their cabins can choose to be informed if they appear by pressing their info button. Then, on with the warm clothes and out on deck. But the light's appearance can be fickle and transitory, and often disappointing. But you can buy postcards. The real highlight of this cruise, however, comes when the ship docks for 3.5 hours at Honningsvåg.
Hello, welcome aboard. Thank you.
Up to the North Cape, virtually the northernmost point in continental Europe. The last section of the road is closed, and the coaches wait patiently for the arrival of the compulsory snowplough to escort the convoy to the summit.
We always have to have a car at the ring.
Everyone wraps up well. At these temperatures, nearly -14 with the wind chill factor, and at over 71 degrees north, Most tourists first go inside, where the tiny church of St. Johannes cut into the rock claims to be the world's most northerly ecumenical chapel. But the real natural beauty is outside. The weather, though, is unpredictable. Northern Norway in winter, quite an experience, leaving images that linger in the memory.